Hey everyone, welcome to the Stream Team. I'm your host, Patrick Stinson, and it is our first show of 2022. And guess what? It's still a good idea to stay inside because of everything that's happening outside. So the Stream Team is here to help, and we are starting off the new year with a bang.
We just got shut it! You ever been shut at?
No.
John Cena's Peacemaker has broken away from the Suicide Squad, and it's unlike any other superhero show on television.
You know what's never saved the planet? Your sarcasm.
And speaking of superheroes, we've waited thousands of years for these guys. Now Eternals is available in the comfort of your own home.
The second you tell your wife that you are dying, your opportunity to do this is gone.
Plus, Mahershala Ali and Mahershala Ali star in Swan Song. The Oscar winner is pulling double duty in a fantastic movie that we're talking about today because enough of you are not talking about it. And when it comes to talking, no one does it better than our team today. Fresh off of his appearance on the Today Show, we have host, film critic, and Dish Nation MVP, Andrew Freund.
Hello, howdy.
And making the Stream Team debut, he's got some of the best hair on television. Everyone, please welcome Jeremy Parsons from People, the TV show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Jeremy,
By the way, Stinson, that's a wig. You know he's wearing a wig.
Listen, I knew Jeremy was coming with a fresh cut, so I went and got one myself, buddy.
Oh, nice, looking good.
Welcome to the club. All right, Jeremy, because you are the newbie here today, we are starting with you, and we're gonna start off with how HBO Max is celebrating comedian Bob Saget.
That's right. We've obviously been all talking a lot about Bob Saget, about his life, about his career, and really just dealing with what was shocking news to hear of his passing. It is so beloved by so many people. But HBO Max, I was flipping through the other day and saw that they had prompted his stand-up special. It's called That Ain't Right. It's from 2007. So it really showcases the other side of Bob Saget that so many of the Full House fans were either through the years completely shocked by or loved discovering about Bob Saget that maybe people didn't know about, his anti-wholesome image. He was, obviously most people knew him as the wholesome all-American dad, but Bob's comedy and his stand-up was always very raunchy, very vulgar. Stream of consciousness said whatever dark, wild, dirty thing came to his mind. And that became a real branding thing for him when it came to, going to comedy clubs around the country. So That Ain't Right is a really good example of it. It was, again, from 2007. So kind of as he was branching out, doing more and more of that publicly in the wake of Full House and kind of having that place in pop culture, but building on it and turning it. Here was the description on HBO Max. It says a 1 hour torrent of adults-only material, which is kind of the perfect description when you think about that. And look, if you're into that, that's great. And if you want to look at his other work, it's also streaming. Here's the quick list. Full House is on HBO Max. Fuller House, obviously Netflix. America's Funniest Home Videos is on Amazon.
Welcome to America's Funniest Home Videos. I'm Bob Saget, but hey, enough about me.
He was my America's Funniest Home Videos host growing up, and he had that unique, very dry and sort of weird sense of humor in that show, in that setting. So he hosted that for 8 seasons, and you can check that out. How I Met Your Mother, he was a narrator. That's on Hulu. Entourage, he had a famous role on that. It's on HBO Max as well. So look, Bob, so beloved, so kind, embraced so many different people, and you've seen that outpouring of love for him since his passing. So check out That Ain't Right or any of those other things to pay your own personal tribute to Bob.
Jeremy, I gotta tell you, I checked out That Ain't Right, and holy cow.
Was it dirty? Is it raunchy?
It's filthy in the best way possible. It's literally laugh out loud funny. It's not like, you know how sometimes at comedy shows, everyone's laughing a little bit and clapping. It's spit take funny. He goes in on some of his Full House stars. He roasts them, and it was genius. It was really well done. I'm happy HBO Max put this out.
Yeah. When Bob Saget, one of the last times he was in here at People and I interviewed him, it was with his other castmates, and he kind of roasted John Stamos right there during the interview. He kind of went in on him, like how at the very beginning he wasn't so sure about him, and he had women coming in and out. Like he sort of embellished and made some funny jokes about Stamos being such a playboy and a heartthrob.
Yeah, because they were best friends in real life. They were actually best friends.
Right, and they all came to be such close friends and such a tight-knit family behind the scenes that he definitely had the leeway to roast them, and everyone loved it. Everyone was sort of in on the joke, and once you know what to expect with Bob Saget and that kind of humor, you can settle into it after you get past how jarring it is, and it is really funny.
It really was. Well done. Highly recommended. Okay, Andrew, we're gonna stick with HBO Max and talk to you about something that I think is giving me Bridgerton / Downton Abbey vibes.
Okay, so HBO Max has this new show coming out, which, by the way, I mentioned on the Today Show the other day. So I'm just going to remind you of both of that.
Andrew, you dropped something there.
Yeah, I know. Jeremy's been on there too, so it's not that funny. But I will say this new show on HBO Max called The Gilded Age. And if you love Downton Abbey, it is created by the exact same man, written by the same man, Gillian Fellows. And basically, it takes you into late 1880s New York City. We're talking about names like Rockefeller, Vanderbilt. But at that time, the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts were the new money, New York. And they would come in against the old money, New York. And the matriarch of old money, New York is played by Christine Baranski. And she ain't having it. She doesn't want no Rockefeller. She doesn't want no Vanderbilt coming up in her house. And she has some words to say about that. Let's take a look.
The old have been in charge since before the revolution, until the new people invaded.
It's not quite as simple as that.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so the show also stars Cynthia Nixon. Of course, Cynthia's right now on And Just Like That. But you get to see a glimpse into this world, much like Downton Abbey. So you have the costumes, the sets, the music. But Gillian Fellows kind of intertwines all of these story arcs so they all come together like we know and love. But, there's storylines about race, about sexuality, about class distinction, which is a very big theme throughout. And there's one line in the series, which I know people are going to go crazy of, and they're going to meme it, is Christine Baranski's niece basically moves in with them. So this girl from Philly is moving into this old money New York, and the girl's kind of having trouble, and Christine Baranski leans into her and goes, "Honey, you're from old money, and don't make a mistake of that." So I already know that that's going to become like a huge, everyone's going to be quoting it. And I absolutely love the show. I'm about halfway through because we're lucky enough to get, screeners of this. I can't stop talking about it. I can't stop telling people about it because it's a blast. And it really takes you into this time that we didn't know much about. Also, Christine Baranski, she will cut many bitches. She will cut the bitch across the street. She'll cut the bitch over there, the bitch over, Christine Baranski ain't come to play. But it is interesting to see how, this new money and this old money, that was the main conflict of the time. We think about now and all this crazy stuff that's happening. And back then it was really just about, are you a railroad tycoon or an oil tycoon?
Well, you told us about Bridgerton years ago, it seems like. So I'm going to take your word on this one as well.
Wow, if you were right about Bridgerton,
yeah. Absolutely, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bridgerton season 2 is coming, even though we're not talking about that right now.
Perfect.
Still ahead, some adult conversations about John Cena's latest offering, Peacemaker. But first, a tender moment as Jeremy Parsons lets us inside his soul.
Wow, look at that. There's a softer side to JP. It's not just all that hair.
Now, I have something that falls under the category of, in case you missed it, or you should definitely check this out. It is Swan Song, starring Mahershala Ali.
So he has everything?
Even the memories you store deep in your subconscious. Do this with us and let life go on for your family. A clean swap.
All right, guys, it's literally one of the best movies I've seen in a few years and one of Mahershala Ali's best performances ever. And he has 2 Oscars, so That's saying something. It's set in the future, and Mahershala plays a man who is dying, but he's kind of gotten around the whole death thing by going to this agency that creates an exact clone of himself. And the idea is that his clone will take his place in the family, and he will go off and die, and the family won't know anything about the big switcheroo. That's the idea of it. And it's so well done, and there's so many ethical and moral issues that come up. It's one of those things, one of those movies that you will talk about after you see it. However, a lot of people aren't talking about it. This movie, it's not new. It came out in December on Apple TV Plus with Mahershala Ali, Glenn Close, Awkwafina, Naomi Harris. They're all fantastic. The movie is so well done, so well executed. And I just want to make sure that people do not miss it, because it's literally one of my best movies of the last couple of years. And Andrew, I know you agree.
Yes, I totally agree. And I actually sat down with Naomi Harris right before the film came out in London. And I had mentioned to her that I saw the film, and she was like, "You did? You did?" She was just surprised, because you're right, Patrick, it's not getting as much buzz. I'm not sure why, because her performance in that film I also thought was awesome. And it really raises those ethical questions that we like to think about, especially as we move into the future and cloning becomes a real possibility. I mean, I don't know if that's Jeremy. That could be a clone Jeremy for all I know.
Did I ever exist? Or has it always just been an avatar? We don't know. I will say this. Anything with Mahershala Ali, I remember first interviewing him way back in the House of Cards days when he came in. And he is the kind of person, you know, you interview a lot of people, some people really stick with you. He was a person that stuck out. You felt his passion, and you knew then that he was going to be strategic about every role that he picked from that moment on. And the momentum was there, and he's done it. I've followed him very closely, as have many people ever since then. And I would watch him in anything. I love him.
What's great also about Swan Song is, like, we've seen movies about cloning before,
right?
But you've not seen anything like this. It's just done so differently. It's really just a really good kind of story, a love story, a human story. It's in the future, but it's not very sci-fi, even though it's about cloning. Like, I just can't say enough about it. So that's Swan Song.
Can I say something about it?
Absolutely.
Me and my wife watched it the other night, and I'll tell you, the biggest thing that stuck out to me was how emotionally powerful it was by the end. Like, it took me in a way that was beyond the fascination of the concept of, like, oh, it's him looking at him. And it really went in, and it stuck with me at a heart level, guys.
Oh, wow. JP getting emotional watching. Yeah. Wow, look at that. There's a softer side to JP. It's not just all that hair.
I'm pretty sure that's Jeremy and not a clone.
It's real.
All right,
the hair is not real, but Jeremy is.
But real. Jeremy's real.
Yeah.
All right, we have it's big blockbuster time now, Jeremy. In case anyone missed Eternals in the theater because they didn't want to go to a theater because who's leaving the house these days, it is now available in the comfort of your own home.
So that's the thing. And I know, like, it's not new. It's not like it's fresh out, but there are a lot of people who didn't see it. However, I guess there are a lot that did, because, okay, Patrick Wright didn't go out to the theater. It's still made over $400 million. What's that?
I saw it.
Yeah. Well, in the theater, right. Which is this was a movie to see on a big screen for sure, but it's also a good one to watch at home. It did make over $400 million worldwide. And that was in spite of critical uncertainty. It did not do well with the critics. You know what I mean? It came out, didn't love. However, the fans were there, at least for box office, and now a lot more people are going to get to see it.
5 years ago, Thanos erased half of the population of the universe. But the people of this planet brought everyone back with a snap of a finger. The sudden return of the population provided the necessary energy for the emergence to begin.
How long do we have?
7 days.
If you're not familiar, the team of superheroes All new characters kind of emerge. These gods that have been hanging out on Earth essentially for thousands of years, and now they've been activated because they got to fight off the deviants that are maybe going to take over. The exciting thing is we're being introduced to these whole new characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe we haven't seen before. They answer a lot of questions about where they've been this whole time, as other MCU stories have been told. That people that have followed that would say, like, wait a second, how are they suddenly here? They answer those questions. Great ensemble cast, lots of representation. Salma Hayek leads it up, the leader of the Eternals. She's opened up about even getting in an argument with director Chloe Zhao, who has blown up on the scene, but they were very passionate about some of the scripting. And then Salma ended up saying that it was one of the best collaborative sort of conversation arguments she's ever had. So I loved hearing about the passion that the filmmaker, that the actors have. Angelina Jolie plays Thena, that has this platonic, interesting relationship with Don Lee, who plays Gilgamesh. She's very vulnerable, yet strong in the role. Richard Madden, Gemma Chan, Kumail Nanjiani, who got ripped for this.
He got swole for it.
Yeah, swole. He hit the gym and, whatever. He totally blew up. And it had a really interesting angle. We've seen Marvel movies introduce comedic twists and comedic levity throughout movies. He does it in a unique way, and I think it really worked. Then Harry Styles made his way into the MCU. Who knew that was going to work?
Jeremy, that's supposed to be a spoiler. That's a spoiler.
The movie's been out. It's not brand new. And I think people know. But look, a lot of fans excited to see how the Eternals moves forward as we go into phase 4 of the MCU. What comes next? What happens next? But this is a good one to watch at home because it's very long, and you can maybe like do a 2-parter or whatever and kind of get caught up to what everyone else has been talking about.
I will say it's one of the best things Angelina Jolie has done in years, because she is a total badass in this and her fight sequences are awesome. However, for me, the script was just kind of but it's beautifully shot. I mean, it's Chloe Zhao obviously is an amazing director. She won the Oscar for Nomadland. It looks gorgeous, but in terms of story, I was like, meh. It wasn't the strongest Marvel movie I've ever seen.
It's not the hardest hitting it's not like the sharpest, most like front edge of the Marvel Cinematic Universe type experience, right?
Yeah.
It's more about settling into getting to know these new characters. I think
and it's setting up for more movies. I mean, it's Disney. Obviously, there's going to be more movies, so it's a setup. That's what I call it.
And is it worth a little time on your couch? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Have a gummy, drink some wine, you'll be fine.
An edible? What you mean? Or just like a gummy bear?
Or my speed is like a full tub of hummus with some chips.
Yeah.
In one sitting. It's great.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or a weed gummy, if it's legal, where you're watching this. Only if it's legal.
Only if it's
Consult your local law enforcement.
Yeah.
Still ahead, John Cena is group dancing while dressed as the Peacemaker. We'll hear what the stream team has to say about that. But first, how one cameo in a 2004 movie has changed Patrick Stinson's life.
The residuals are rolling in. How do you think you paid for all those plants? It's stuff like this.
All right, listen, before I jump into something completely inappropriate for young minds, we do have something specifically for kids and kids at heart, and we are starting with monsters.
I used Van Helsing's transforming ring.
Dad?
You're human, Drac. Oh no, I have a total dad bod.
On Amazon Prime Video, Drac and his friends are back in Hotel Transylvania, Transformania. It's the 4th film in the Hotel Transylvania series. This time around, Drac and his monster pals have been transformed into humans, and Johnny becomes a monster. They got to figure the whole thing out before these changes become permanent. It's a little family fun, now streaming on Amazon Prime Video.
Hello, boys! Buck Wild at your service.
Our hero!
Over on Disney Plus, the thrill-seeking Possum Brothers, Crash and Eddie, are out to make a name for themselves in the Ice Age adventures of Buck Wild. Okay, the brothers end up trapped in a lost world, a massive underground cave, and coming to the rescue is their one-eyed buddy, the adventure-loving, dinosaur-hunting weasel, Buck Wild. The movie includes some of our favorite Ice Age characters, as well as a few new faces. It debuts on Disney Plus January 28th. Mark your calendars. Meanwhile, now streaming and new to Disney Plus is 2004's Catch That Kid, starring Kristen Stewart. She is the leader of a group of junior spies on a mission to rob a high-tech, high-security bank, pulling off a huge heist, all for a good cause, or at least what they consider is a good cause. Her dad is sick, and he needs some money for hospital stuff. Now, what you guys will find most interesting, hospital stuff, yeah. What you guys will find most interesting about this is I'm in it. I play a young reporter getting all the scoop on this heist that's going down.
And a source inside the bank is saying the robbery was actually some type of plot to test the bank's security system.
And I'm so happy that Disney Plus is airing it because I haven't seen it for years, despite the fact that I have my own copy.
Boy, oh boy.
I have my own copy.
Cool. A real movie star with us, Jeremy.
The residuals are rolling in. How do you think you paid for all those plants? It's stuff like this.
Thank you, $2.99 residual check that I get about once every 6 months. Catch That Kid.
Not to get off track, Patrick, but that's one of many appearances in films you've made.
Thank
George
you.
Clooney, what was it?
The Perfect Storm.
Perfect Storm.
If someone's asking.
Big cameo as a newscaster, and there are others.
There are many, many others. Many others.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Andrew.
Yeah, that's me.
We're coming to you, and I thought of this segue as like any night out on the town with Andrew. This next thing is not for the kids. Not for the kids at all. Not for the kids. Peacemaker.
Well, Patrick, thank you for those kind words. I don't know what kind of man you think I am, but I like to do family fun things once in a blue moon, maybe once a year. But he's right. The Peacemaker is not for kids, but you know what? Let's take a look.
You're a born killer with expertise in every weapon known to humankind. I'm giving you the chance to stay out of prison and work for me.
Kill people.
Bad people.
I have to tell you, I went into this show not having any expectations. However, it is now one of my new favorite shows. It is dark, it is raunchy, it is funny. It's got all of these things mixed into one, made by the mind of James Gunn. Of course, James is the guy behind Guardians of the Galaxy. He's also the mind behind The Suicide Squad, which premiered last year on HBO Max as well. So basically, Peacemaker follows John Cena's character from the film Suicide Squad into this series. Now, Peacemaker is a man who will kill anyone in order to get peace. Men, women, children. He doesn't care. He kills for peace, which I know is ironic. But when you watch this show, you really kind of see, these kind of outcasts come together and they're coming to fight a common good. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but there's some enemies that this group of Black Ops individuals are going to fight. But you're also going to see a John Cena like you've never seen, because everyone thinks of Cena, he's a pretty serious guy. And Jeremy, I'm sure, has interviewed him before too. But you're going to see a John Cena singing, dancing to choreographed dance numbers. You're going to see John Cena in his underwear. You're going to see John Cena naked. And you're going to see John Cena with a pet bald eagle named Eagly, which is, I know it sounds like I'm on an acid trip. And in fact, when I spoke to James Gunn, I said, how high were you when you wrote this? He wasn't high, apparently. Apparently, this is just inside his crazy mind. But it is such a blast. And the entire cast is amazing. Danielle Brooks also is one of the characters. She was on Orange is the New Black. Really incredible scenes between her and Cena. There's also some cameos from some people from the Suicide Squad, but I don't want to give too much away. It's just a really fun show, and the writing is so witty and so kind of dark and sarcastic, kind of like, I know you guys like that kind of writing. And it's a total blast. It's a total fun ride.
You reminded me, as you described it, I remember seeing a little bit of that side of John Cena in Blockers.
Yes.
And although he wasn't necessarily, he was reacting to a lot of it more than he was like actually being the guy delivering the line or whatever. But I'm excited to see him in that role. I think he plays that really well because it's sort of counter type and it's unexpected.
Totally. And I asked James Gunn, I was like, Cena's always so serious. How do you get him to do all this stuff? Because Jeremy, he's literally dancing around in his tidy whities, like singing and dancing. And James Gunn was just basically like, Cena trusts me. He knows that I'm never going to make him look bad. And what we're doing is kind of for the greater good. And another character in there that's also amazing is Robert Patrick. Robert Patrick, of course, the villain from Terminator, but he plays Cena's incredibly racist father. Like, this dude is the worst dude you have ever met. Probably one of the worst characters James Gunn has ever written. But his scenes are so palpable. I just can't say enough good things about this show.
Are you laughing through it, or is it like you walk away like, oh my gosh, I'm depressed?
No, you're laughing. You're laughing through it because some of the lines they're just wild. And they also bring in like current pop culture references, you know, like how James Gunn is done with Guardians. It's a very like quick, smart, like I think there's 8 episodes or 10 episodes. I'm not sure. I'm only like 6 in, and I'm like, I just keep watching more. Oh, also, okay, one more thing. There is an amazing intro. So before every episode, you know how you normally like skip the intro? You're not going to want to skip this intro because it is a huge choreographed dance number with everyone in the cast dancing to an 80s like heavy metal band song, including John Cena doing like all of it's wild. The show's wild.
Don't skip the intro.
Don't skip the intro. Also, there's end credits after every episode. So after you're done watching the credits, there's another little chunk. So keep watching.
Smart.
Very smart. Listen, thank you both very much for joining us today. Jeremy, I would like to thank your hair for being here.
We would like to thank you for having us.
I would love to buy that hair.
Whether it's real or not. Before we go, Jeremy, where can people find you? Where do we see your work? How do we follow? How do we get in touch if we want to?
At the Jeremy Parsons on Instagram, #1. And then I'm on People the TV show. It airs on Marcus to Other Country, but the easiest way is on People's Twitter, Facebook, people.com, every day.
Whee! And Andrew, same for you. How do we find out what Andrew is up to?
You can find me on Instagram at Andrew Freund, as I'm sure the Chiron is saying right now. You can also watch me on Dish Nation every week. Check your local listings. And you can hear me on Radio Andy on Sirius XM channel 102 every week. So there's that.
Excellent, guys. Thank you so much for joining the stream team for the first show of 2022. Please don't go outside, guys. Don't go outside. Stay inside. Stay put. Bye, guys.
See ya.